Well, where are we, Greg?
We're in Chateau Le Greg. In my mid-century basement bar with special guest Bad Boy the Cat jumping on everything.
Bounding.
Because he's decided since I've moved in here that this whole downstairs is his domain.
Makes
He
sense.
gets excited anytime anyone's down here.
I think you got it twisted. This entire fucking house is his domain.
That's
like,
true.
Yeah.
you just live here.
He doesn't give a fuck about the upstairs. He gets so excited if I stand up and I start moving towards the basement steps. He just like runs down here, gets all fucking hyped up. Ever since I put that couch there, that couch he went ape shit for immediately. Like jumped on it and never got off of it. Like he just decided like that's his. Like I just finished vacuuming all the cat fur off of it before you guys got here because it was just covered in it. He's just been squatting on my couch.
Because he knows this is where the party's going to be.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Should we describe what we're seeing?
No.
No.
People aren't allowed to know.
I don't think they could handle it.
You posted it on the internet already.
Only part of it.
All right, that's fair.
Yeah. The rest must be left to speculation.
Mm-hmm.
Now that people can have physical parties in the meat space,
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be some orgies in here for sure. Some Illuminati secret parties. Maybe some tabletop gaming, but
Right.
you know, if we can squeeze it in, you know,
Right.
it's going to be pretty busy down here.
'Tis the season.
This is, those famous Hallmark cards. 'Tis the season for secret Illuminati sex orgies.
Yeah. That's what that's about, right?
I don't know. I don't really understand Christianity.
Yeah. There's that guy dying day too, or whatever. Born the other one. It's Easter. Where does he come back? Oh, fuck. I don't know. I'm not good at this. I was a Catholic. I've rejected all of this.
So your Catholicism is on par with like all of the French that I learned in middle school. You just forget all of it.
Yeah.
So Greg, what are you drinking in your in this very lovely fancy?
Some Red Zinger.
Never
Never had Red Zinger. It's herbal.
Yeah.
It's delicious.
Is it raspberry? Like, I forget.
No, it's mostly like cherry-ish.
What Zinger come from? What does Zinger mean? Is it
I don't know.
taste?
The name
It's
of
like
it.
a-
Celestial Seasons
Yeah.
Red Zinger. I used
They
to
have
get
a
it
few
at the Hive all the
zingers.
time. Yeah.
There's like a lemon zinger.
Yeah, there's a
too.
lemon zinger, an orange zinger. That used to be my go-to at the Beehive, man. You get a big old pot Red Zinger, some honey.
All right then. Does it taste like Dr. Pepper?
No,
Just a little Coke in it.
not at all.
Oh, all right. What does it taste like? I've never had it.
Zing.
Like almost like a fruit punchy type of flavor. Yeah, it's zingy. Yeah, it's got the zing on full effect.
I don't know what Zing tastes like. That's the problem I'm having here.
Maybe you'll find out one day.
Use your imagination.
I did, but all I keep coming back to is Dr. Pepper.
There's a little bit of a zing to Dr. Pepper, though.
There is.
That
Yeah.
is true.
A little bit
yeah.
of a, little zip.
I'm not wrong here.
Cheer wine.
I've had Cheerwine.
It's got that same Dr. Pepper-ish
Okay.
zip to it. Yeah.
Okay.
It does.
But it tastes absolutely nothing like this tea.
No.
Just so you know.
I'm so confused. I know less about this tea than when we started.
What about you, Dave?
Oh, so I'm drinking Jack's. It's I believe it's from Pennsylvania.
Helen's Blend, it says.
It's Helen's Blend, and it is not fresh.
It's been aged, I hear.
It's been aged, unintentionally aged. So the every Tuesday night, I play Dungeons and Dragons. It's been going on for like 15 years, I think now, maybe longer. I don't know. Routinely, someone will be like, "Oh, we're getting low on beer." Buy a bunch of beer, a bunch of cider, have it sort of stockpiled, and refresh the pile every once in a while. This stock is from right before pandemic. We'd bought a bunch. It was sitting there, and then
Is that going to be like a new thing? Special vintage pre-pandemic.
yes, it tastes fine, and it
Yeah.
doesn't seem to be dangerous. There's probably other stuff that is less friendly to the post-pandemic.
It's like pre-war, post-war. Now we got pre-pandemic, post-pandemic. You got to get that pre. It's so much more valuable.
Yeah.
Rare bird.
Everything after was shit.
So that's what I'm drinking now.
And what do you got there, Nick?
I'm triple fisting it today. So I'm drinking one of these ciders that's going to make us sick. drinking a toasted white chocolate Starbucks drink that's definitely going to make me fucking sick. And then this elderberry kombucha that's going to make me not sick. So hopefully it balances all out.
Just all cancels each other out. The kombucha.
Needed some caffeine. I actually I was pulling out of the driveway, stopped my car, pulled back in, got this drink and something else, this hat that I forgot because I was like, oh, it's kind of cold. And thank God I got the drink, right?
You know what, though? This may be saving you because between the potentially dangerous Jacks and that Starbucks drink that you described that sounds like hell, the kombucha might be the only thing that saves your stomach later.
Or I'll just be projectile vomiting in 15 minutes. All over this new basement.
Damn it.
New to Greg basement.
Yeah, I guess I could expand a little bit on the fact that
You're being really secretive about this basement.
I'm secretive, Dave. I'm mysterious.
Just let them in a little bit. Just a little tidbit.
A little tease.
Yeah.
I mean, I already said it's a mid-century bar.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, how to describe it? I guess I don't know. Surrounded by almond wood paneling and Formica. No, what is this? Is this?
What would you call this?
This would not be Formica.
No.
It's a.
I don't know, but it's a nice checker bar top. Weird red acrylic, I imagine, paneling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's red glass and red acrylic everywhere.
Yeah.
No joke, it's fabulous. It really does look amazing.
Yeah.
It's my new spot. Been living here for about a month now. A lot has happened since the last episode. Including me moving into a house.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, dude.
Good to be here. And this is episode 30, and we're gathered face to face for the second time in a year and a half.
Wow.
Yeah.
Been 16, 17 months, something like that.
I feel like this one's gonna stick though, because the last one we just did it because it was like we had dipped into like yellow zone or like whatever, it wasn't super dangerous, so we gave it a shot. And that, now we're all vaccinated.
Now we're invincible.
Yeah.
Now we can do anything. Our super mutant abilities have yet to surface from our 5G shots, but I'm waiting.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what the big reveal is.
What do you think you're getting?
I think I'm getting Wolverine claws, dude. Absolutely.
I've just been buying lots of Microsoft products lately.
That's a sick ability, bro.
So, does anybody have any notes? Any things they want to talk about?
Someone has some notes.
God damn, yeah, that's a lot of notes.
Yeah, he's got lots of
It's a
text.
wall of text I'm looking at.
Because I'm better. I've always been better at just typing my thoughts rather than speaking them. So sometimes if I have a thought, I'll just jot it in there. I really don't have much notes.
Do you want to just use text to speech for that so you don't even have to talk?
Yeah.
Just let that run.
Microsoft Sam. This module sucks. Period.
Wait, what was the that came with the Sound Blaster card?
Oh, fuck.
Dude.
Dr. Spadeso.
Yes.
Wow, that's a deep
yeah.
cut.
Yeah. That's embedded in me. Dr.
Yeah.
Spadeso. Those are magical things back then.
You got your Sound Blaster 16 and your Voodoo graphics card, dude. Good
That's
to go. Ready to play Unreal 99.
But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about what's on your notes.
We're putting a lot of weight on my notes. Like, these really aren't good.
But if
these
your
are just
notes
some
really
random
are like,
thoughts.
well, we've already covered Sound Blaster 16. I guess I'll skip that one.
Fuck, I'm done.
That's half the list.
At the top of my notes, some of the random thoughts I had was hot topics and news. I got Muff Wigglers transitioned to a non-binary, non-gender conforming web form and is now known as Modwiggler, and no one cares. Mr. Dataline walks away from Electron, and no one cares. But who will be the face of that company now? Question mark.
Ooh, good question.
Who knows?
Your heart's not in these news updates at all.
These are not good notes. And I don't know.
I mean, I'm actually pretty on board with the Muff Wiggler change. I mean, I think there's no reason not to try to be more inclusive. And if someone's like,
I'm gonna argue with you on that.
that's fine. But it's one of those things where if it's a small change that could have a big impact to make people not feel like it's just a hobby for white male.
True.
Hmm?
But I feel like almost every time that has come up on the forums, people who aren't white males have weighed in and said they've never felt excluded due to the name. It's usually the certain individuals that do that. You know what I mean? The name, I don't think, was ever really offending anybody.
That's fair. I mean, that's certainly a separate issue that needs to be addressed independently than this. But from like someone who's not a white male who's like, I'm interested in this, and they do a Google search and it's gear sluts and muff wiggler.
Mhm.
Well, this doesn't sound like this is for me. This sounds like this is for, white males who think this is an okay way to speak
White
about.
males can be sluts too.
That fair, but like
and
that's
have them off. That get all up in that mussy.
I genuinely don't have a retort to that. Perhaps you have one this round.
You
No,
dropped a bomb on that one.
Yeah.
If the name change does in fact make it a more inclusive and positive vibe overall, then I'm for it. But I don't think anyone cared much one way or the other, except for like certain people just wanted to nitpick it. You know what I mean?
And there's going to be assholes, but at least it's not on the front door on the sign. Now you have to go inside to find out that half the people here are pieces of shit. But at least it's at least welcoming you past the Google search.
And I wonder too if people even know the origin story. Some of the people complaining as to like there are two electroharmonics pedals, the Big Muff and the I forget voltage wiggler or something wiggler.
Yeah.
And the Big Muff, I even traced the origin because there are articles about this, and it was because the sound was muffled. Is why they named it the Big Muff. I'm sure at the end of the day there was probably some marketing. It was like, yeah, if there's a double entendre here, then nobody's going to be like super upset.
Sure.
But you can't know that. But yeah, Wiggler and then the kind of combination, the like wombo of the two of them, and the fact that Mike came up with it and it's his forum or was his forum is kind of like, you kind of want to retain it. It feels a little weird to change it, but I'm over it too. At first I was like, oh, blah, 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 blah. But now it's like, okay, don't care in some ways.
Right.
And also if it's like, if they want to make it so it's something that nobody ever has to talk about again, I get it.
Yeah.
So.
And I think also like as time moves forward, our sensibilities change. What's okay one year isn't later. And art
True.
and the way art is made evolves with that. So, something 10 years ago may have had a different context or maybe wasn't as big a deal as it is now. Well, you need to adjust with the times, and you can either, look at it and go, is this an improvement we can make and we want to be a part of? Or can you sort of like, there are people that will continue to say like and use shitty slurs for some groups of people because I've always used this, or this is like other people aren't offended by it. Like that's where you draw your line. That's what you want to like. That's the hill you want to die on. That's fine. I think that's stupid.
Yeah, I feel you. I also just don't like the new name though too, because I just think it's just like, oh, Mott. Like I don't know.
It's very
super.
generic.
I was gonna say it's so generic.
Yeah, that's
so
the other.
generic.
Yeah,
I feel like if there was going to be a name change, then just fucking go all in and come up with something zany, crazy, whatever the fuck, something
Agreed.
creative. I mean, Muff Wiggler, as I guess controversial as the name can be at times for people, it was unique.
Oh yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was something different. It stood out from your typical generic ass gear form.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You'll still always call it like muffs. You know, it's just so quick to call it. You can't like call it mods. That just doesn't make sense. Like gear slots, they probably should have changed ages ago. That one's a little more egregious, but like
Sure.
Muff Wiggler is a little more like, oh, some of you weren't even around here too, like back in, the day to pull the old man shit out. But like, it is kind of like a little hard to see a change. But on the other hand, like, I don't give a fuck either. If I go from having 11 goos to 11, like, completely boring like person icons, though, I'm fucking out.
Oh yeah, I wonder if my goo mug that says Muff Wiggler for life. I wonder if that's like gonna be a collectible now. It's gonna be worth money, man.
Get that Schwayman money.
It's gonna be worth Schwayman bucks.
I went and checked those prices again just a few weeks ago, and it's still ridiculous. Nobody buys it now, but it's like even higher. Even though they said like it's cool they're actually going to start producing the stuff again.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and they're already servicing stuff, so that's cool. But yeah, it's just fucking unreal. $6,000 for a little 30 HP single voice module that doesn't even sound that great.
Did you see that there's now Reverb listings for packaging that doesn't include the product? Yeah, it's like original packaging for certain modules.
Yikes.
And it was like, it wasn't outrageous. Let me rephrase that. It was like $20 or $30, which is outrageous for what is a cardboard box with a stamp on it.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like that's crossing another line.
Let's
Like,
make bootleg boxes.
I mean, I save mine. Like, I have a box that's literally just full of module
Yeah.
boxes. But yeah, you'd think that's something somebody could really easily counterfeit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because a lot of them aren't all that amazing. They're just
No.
plain white, like,
Yeah.
packaging box with a stamp on it. Like
Yeah.
you said,
Yeah.
some don't even have a fucking
Yeah.
stamp.
The synth tech stuff is just white box. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That's what you get. And I get it. I probably wouldn't. Yeah.
And I like, as soon as I get the box, I just there's a big shelf that has all the empty boxes. And then when I sell a module, I just grab one that'll fit.
Mm.
Like, no one who's bought anything off of me off Reverb has
the
gotten the original box. Yeah, it's
yeah.
the one that fit.
I try to always find the original when I
Mhm.
sell it.
Mhm.
There's been a few times where I didn't, or I couldn't find it because I just had too many fucking module boxes or whatever. So I just, slapped it in whatever fit. Especially like when it comes to the mutable ones, because they're all pretty much similar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And only one time did I have somebody complain.
Same. One time I had someone be like, "No, it didn't have the original box."
Yeah,
I'm
they were like,
"Fucking use it."
They're like, this was in a. I think I sent it in like a. It was like a make noise. What's the touch thing? I forget.
Pressure points.
Pressure points.
Yeah.
I sent it in a pressure points box because I found it. And I still had one, and I was like, oh yeah, slap it in there. And this guy was like, whoa, this came in a pressure points box. Blah blah blah. I'm like, that's okay, right? It's like, I guess, but and he was like,
Did you stop and remind yourself it's a fucking box?
yeah. I'm like,
That's
okay.
not really what you were buying.
I never even considered the fact that somebody would like have an issue with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, with the way components are going, dude, it might be the future, man. All these original modules might soon be like collectible, you know, because it
Yeah.
might not be able to get reproduced, or shortage might impact modules overall so much. It's kind of crazy.
That's rad that Scott can do another piston run. I was concerned about that and
Mm.
Yeah.
why they were so out of stock, but definitely want one of those Mark IIIs like we were talking about a little. Those look sick. Just having that ability to CV sweep through presets like the Bionic Lester too, that kind of gets me excited after that live set.
Yeah.
That would make it so much easier to deal with stuff.
Were you using the Lester in your live setup?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I had BIA and the Piston Honda going into it.
Mm.
Each of the channels just in low pass individually.
Maybe we should segue into that then.
Yeah. Boss, I think it's Boss RC505.
Mm.
They have a ton of different loopers. They have like a 500 and like the pedal one and some older ones. But the 505 is the one that Blawan uses if you've seen any of those videos of him playing stuff. And he's used it for a number of years. It's not new. It's been out since like 2013 or something. But they just like updated it to fix stuff in October so you could like have it follow MIDI clock. Not slave, follow MIDI clock, and it would actually stay in time and not like lose it over time. And it works super well. Like you can just set arbitrary loop lengths. You get 5 of them. You get effects on the input and the output. And it's definitely been a game changer. Definitely building my live set around it with the Rhythm 7U modular and that, and just kind of dumping modular sequences. Pretty much stealing blow on steez in a way, but it's just like a good trick. And as far as like modular sets, it seems like a nice way to capture something and keep it moving.
You would not fucked with loopers deeply in the past.
Not
This
at
is
all.
relatively new.
Always generally avoided them, or they didn't work when you tried to sync it to a clock. And so this one actually does work really well. I kind of like that it's a little like 90s cheesy too, like the case. And it's awesome. Can't believe it works.
You said effects on the inputs and outputs. Can you have
Yeah.
those simultaneously?
No, I found out you can't actually. You can pick 3 different chains of them and you can enable them or disable them.
Mm-hmm.
They make an RC202, which they made a number of years later, and it's just a 2-channel version, which is still interesting, but it's only like $200 cheaper, so 5 versus 2. That one you get simultaneous effects. I think they're a little more limited maybe, or you pick them a little differently. But it's still like, I don't know, that might do the trick for live stuff, but also having like 5 loops is super appealing. And I've learned you can like back stuff up to it and it'll save them like as you're working. So it's just like what I was doing with the Octatrack kind of, but actually a little more seamless and less clicky as far as the looping goes and like that.
And a much easier interface.
Oh my God. That was like a multi-step thing and it dominated the machine. Whereas this is just like, you could be really drunk and just hit the button and it'll loop it perfectly and then hit it again and it'll overdub or play it back. So pretty configurable too. Yeah, like 99 minutes of like sampling time, which is like a fucking ton. Stereo. Sounds good enough, you know? Doesn't sound like noisy or shitty.
So are you imagining a scenario where you have it preloaded with a bunch of stuff, or are you going to start with like a blank slate each set?
Good question. I think both to some degree, like 3 free ones and then 2 freebies maybe. But then like, I don't know. That's a good question. Then I'd have to like correlate them, and I'm kind of trying to not do that because before I was going down the path of my modular of like, I'm going to make 4 patches in here, and I'm going to try to iterate through these patterns, and like that's a lot of setup and config to remember on a live set too. And this can be more like maybe I can have some patches, but no, like all right, I'm done. Dump this over in a 4-bar loop, and then just fuck something up, cue it up, and then get going. So I got some practice to do, but it's been pretty damn good so far.
Nice.
Yet integrated, like I haven't even looked at the manual except to remember how to you gotta do this modulation thing so that the loops will stop when you stop MIDI clock if you want it to. Otherwise it'll keep running, which you may want. That's like a total viable thing I could see people wanting to do. And then the fuck was it? How to like turn off the one effect. But yeah, it comes with like a huge phone book manual, but you don't really need it at all. It's pretty fucking straightforward.
Nice.
Yeah, totally impressed with that thing. They did a good job.
And the effects are decent enough?
Yeah, totally. There's like a low pass filter that does the job and sounds a little bassy when it's low. Beat repeat, super cheesy, but awesome. It does the trick. And some delay and reverb. The reverb's kind of shitty, but you know.
Yeah.
It's a live set.
Can you do like, are the loops, do they have individual outs or is this all going through like a no, okay.
Stereo input.
Having some ideas.
Stereo output.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that would be the, if they had multi-outs on it, holy shit, that would be cool.
I guess if you really wanted to get crazy, you could have 2 of them.
I've seen people do that.
Okay. I'm just thinking like mixing in between, you know what I mean, and getting real complex and having different gear going to one or the other, you know what I mean, and then looping in between it.
Now that
You just can't just keep it simple.
I know, that's
Jesus Christ.
This is why.
Oh, here's something really great and simple and intuitive. How can I make it super complex?
That's what I do, Dave. That's why I don't play out much, because I end up just making shit way more overly fucking complicated for myself than it needs to be. And
You're
then
only happy when it rains.
And then I'm not satisfied with it because I failed to achieve this overly complicated fucking plan that I have. And I just, fuck it, I'm not going to do a show.
Actually, that makes me think it would be a good idea to have 2 of the tiny boys, 2 of the 2 channels.
Oh,
you get the full flexibility. And then you get
now we're talking.
2 sets out.
I like it.
And it'd be $50 more. Maybe.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea.
That is interesting.
Oh my God. Like the look on your face.
Yeah.
I'm thinking
it's
right now.
just the wheels. I can hear
right
them.
now I'm thinking pad-based MIDI controller up to each one, triggering different loops or pre-recorded material on one channel and live loops on the other, and being able to punch it in.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because, after using the looper, like, for a couple more weeks now, it's still relatively new to me, but I'm definitely much more used to it. It was such a lifesaver in that live set for, like, transitions and shit like that. Just the ability to, like, quick... I played the whole set basically through the looper. Like, it's just the analog rhythm and the 7U. Ran the rhythm and the 7U inputs, like, mixed in there. Then just took one output from the modular into the looper. And then just, you can audition it through there, basically, and then just take your loops. And at that point, you just got to be like, okay, turn your volume fader down in your loop. Take your loop. It's always perfect, which is really nice. And then just, like, cut it over as you figure out how to deconstruct the other channels or get it to a point where you can dip that over, switch your patterns, change your modular configuration simply or whatever, and then move. And that worked out, like, super fucking well. And I also realized too, I'd like having some loops on there to, like, just some presets to be like, okay, I know there's, like, this hi-hat pattern with, like, a low bass that I can throw on top of, like, a kick drum pattern if I think it's, like, a little underweight or something like that.
Oh, so it's like a full, like, part of the song.
Yeah,
Oh,
some
okay.
of that stuff was. Or, like, that's the thing that I had to practice is, like, you can get into rhythm where you like get your basic drum loop you want to have, like loop that up because you're looping everything through the looper. So if you want something to be separate, you've got to loop it separately and not have it playing, because otherwise you'll be in the situation like, oh, I just want to loop the drums, but I have the whole mix playing, but it's going to sound like dicks if I like just cut that out right now and take a loop. So that's like part of the strategy I had to like bake into my brain a little. But you can also just at the end of the day be like, all right, I'm just going to loop everything and get out of this. So there's like that strategy too, which I used to do on the Octatrack, but it like always kind of didn't work. Or this is so much easier. And then the ability to like affect that and have like synced like filter shit like that, which is just, it was a lot of fun in that live context to be able to just filter shit down a little bit on the modular and on that looper.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like I love it. Like I can see myself just getting better at it over time. And even as I was practicing at first, it was just like 1 bar loops. And then it was like 2 1-bar loops, a 2-bar loop and a 4, and then 2 1s, a 2, a 4, and an 8. And I kind of like that setup because like you can just take an 8-bar loop, do like a longer melodic thing, dump that off quick, and then all right, now I can like reset the modular. Which is where that Harlequin's context comes into play too, because then it's like, all right, I know these like presets on Platts will change these modes, or like I did like a chord progression with it on the Platts chord machine using like the harmonic parameter. I think harmonic or timbre, whichever fucking one changes that. I think what's the third parameter? I don't remember.
Harmonic. There's timbre, harmonics, frequency, morph.
Morph.
That's it.
Thank you. Yeah. But morph, you can morph like the chord shape.
I'll cut out us not remembering the word morph.
Oh no, it's wonderful. We all use it. You have 3 of them.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I have it all memorized.
Yeah.
I don't even ever look to see what's what on there because I just like know
Yeah.
what does what. You know, like,
It's bottom right.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah. So we I remember asking you this at the show, but you were using Harlequin's context to even change the mode. Like you basically had like a full like Platts preset scene set up in and so you could just pop to that and like
Totally.
everything was just set up.
I did it really simply where I had those 3 chord variations. Then I had the 4th one that was not. It was, I think, FM or one of the other ones to a certain parameter. And then I had like harmonic and timbre were the other 2 knobs. And I think the 4th one was just open because I changed like my patch at the end of it just to not use something.
for our listeners' sake and my own, since I'm not too familiar with it.
Oh, yeah.
What is the Harlequin?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. So it's basically, it does a bunch of things, but at its most basic, it's like a static voltage preset. So you get like 4 knobs that correspond to 4 outputs that are just offsets. So you can create like a preset, basically. And then you got 4 buttons underneath that you can switch between. But on the other level, you get like 4 sets of 4 buttons. So you get like 16 things you can switch through. And then there are other modes where you can actually turn those into modulators too. You can have them be little envelopes on each one, or LFOs, or like a mix on each one.
And there's a gate and CV input.
Yes.
So it's kind of like Polyend preset, but like more compact.
Exactly.
Like a 4-banger or okay.
And you can sequence through those with that CV gate. Yeah. There are like a bunch of different modes too. It's like one of those things where it's really cool in that I was using it within like 10 minutes of having it. Like, okay, like this is the basic mode. But then there are these other like hidden modes that you don't have to fuck with, but you can step through each of those scenes for the 4 parameters, which is cool. And this is what also got me on the select bus shit, because it uses that select bus stuff that like the Varigate 8 and the Varigate 4 and some other things do, like the Rene, I think, does it too. Where you can you could have 2 of them and have one be leader and one be follower and have like 8 knobs. And then just as you go through the presets, it'll switch. Or as you change your Varigate 8 pattern, it'll switch all of those presets on the Harlequin's context and know which thing to go to. I think the Metron does that shit too. I've been like eyeing that up. Even I'm glad it doesn't do pitch. I know this is derail, but that Metron looks sick. But it doesn't do pitch without those little expanders, and I'm just not into it.
So based on you describing the Harlequin's context and like me watching like one video, and I think it was like, I forget who did the video. It may have been from Shakmat.
Yeah,
their video.
Theirs was good.
I just ordered it right away. Mm-hmm. I've not had a lot of time to play with it yet.
Who makes it?
Shakmat.
Their
stuff is cool.
Yeah,
Shakmat.
This is pre-built or a kit?
Both. You can get either. I got it pre-built because I don't think any kits were available. They just made them available like this week.
Yeah, I couldn't find any kits.
They do that like Bishop's Miscellany. They have a bunch of like weird ones. That one's
Mhm.
like drum sequencing, I think, or like something else.
And they've
that's
got a
like-
couple of those 1U ones, the odd 1U
yeah, they have some good
modules.
ones
Yeah.
like that. There's one like a clock divider.
That's
and
it, yeah.
There's like an octave one that I might get.
Yeah.
Because I've been into that a little bit.
Yeah, I was looking into the octave one too.
I've been liking I used that VPME.de like octave and semitone switcher a lot last night.
Yeah.
That was anytime there was like a melodic transposition, it was doing that with those switches, which seems like it's so like feels like unmusical at the end of the day. I'm using this little mechanical switch to like make a melody, but fuck it.
Yeah.
It
Like,
sounded good. Was it quantized?
yeah, it did run into that was the Hysteria VCO with the quantize on. When
Okay.
I finally remembered to turn it on because it won't remember it through power cycle. I was like, ooh, that's sour. Like, oh fuck, I gotta hit the red button. And then it tightened it up.
Because there was none of that when you were playing last night. It was just progressing very nicely, and I was like, "Damn, that sounds really good." It
Thanks.
didn't have that sort of microtonal vibe to it.
Yeah, I practiced that for a while too. There was like a specific switches I had to have, and I even put like, those little LED cover stickers.
Yeah.
Like I was putting white ones of those on like certain modules, like at certain positions, so I could remember like, oh yeah, it's this like in the middle of these 7 switches. I got it. This one's octave up and down or something like that. But to take it all the way back to the looper, they need to make another version of that looper. It's like so close. And they're like put a better screen on it, like a little like different effects. Like there's some flaws too. Like when you switch effects, you can't like I don't know what the delay value is. I even use like little pieces of paper on the knob position to be like, oh, this is where like I think quarter clock delay is or something like that. So there's a little shit like that. They could make it a lot nicer. Yeah. I don't know. The looper's fucking tight though. I definitely like it in the live set. I couldn't imagine playing without one now.
So
Make it a lot
now that you're
easier.
like fired up for loopers, have you looked at other ones, or is this the one that like you're stuck with?
It's the best one.
Not
that
stuck
I've
with, but
found.
like you really like you're sold on this one.
Yeah. I was even using the one in the ER301 for a while. There was a while where I had a version of the set that didn't have the looper because I was like, oh, I just want to be more compact. This is too much shit. But in the end, it's like, it's just so nice to have that thing. Like I just smash this button and it takes the loop. It's like hard to get away from that. It's so simple.
So Greg,
Yeah.
what else is on your list?
Oh, jeez, my list.
Well,
I'm
you're the
putting
one
lot
with a
of weight
list.
on my list, bro.
I don't have a list. Nick didn't bring a list.
I don't have a list.
He had a
We
list of
talked
I
3
accidentally
drinks.
closed it on my list.
This is true.
Did you close your list?
I did on accident.
Fuck. How you gonna know where you are?
What else is on my list? Oh yeah, a little note from last episode. The Make Noise Strega.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So last episode.
We were not fans. We were not enthusiastic about
Yeah.
it.
Someone might be flip flopping.
Well, I had a
knew
lot
it.
of
I fucking knew.
criticisms. I had a lot of criticisms about it. The steep price tag, right? The purposely abstruse panel and marketing verbiage,
Check.
and the Cortini worship aspect of it all, right? Now here we are a few months later.
We know where this is
say-
going.
I feel the same way about all of that.
Oh, that was an M. Night Shyamalan twist.
Twist.
Pulled the rug out.
I really thought this was going somewhere different. I thought you were gonna like reach down underneath the counter and pull out like you had one.
That would have been
Well,
sick.
I'm
I bought one.
I kind of want to. Like the criticism I have, I still feel
Yeah.
the same about. However, over the last couple months since the last episode, there's been a few demos and overviews of it on YouTube. The demos especially have kind of opened my eyes to it. There's a couple people that are making things with it that don't just sound like Cortini in a box. People are starting to get a little creative with it, and I'm starting to like warm up to it a little bit. It seems like as far as like a highly portable, semi-modular noise drone box, it would be nice, you know, in a live setup. Probably wouldn't have too much use for it in the studio, but I can definitely see it be appealing to me for a live setup. It's just that price tag is the only reason why I haven't bought one. Like I'm kind of digging the sound, but it's hard to justify $600
Yeah.
for that when there's a lot of other things out there that you can get for $600
Yeah.
that are a little
And like we talked about last
better.
time, like you could make something that you wanted to do, replicate a lot of that.
Right.
for less
Sure.
and get more precisely what you're looking for.
Like those Dreadbox modules that you've been messing with, Nick. Like those are like what, $99 a piece?
$99 each.
And you could get the delay, the filter, the VCO, and probably be very close to Strega territory minus the touch points and things
Love
like
that
that.
oscillator.
Yeah, it sounded good.
Yeah, I dig it. That module rules. So much CV control too. They're like patched out really nicely.
Yeah, I would like to look more into those, especially now that I'm on a tight budget for the next several months. You know what I mean? So like any modules that I get, they're going to have to be cheap or used or both.
Yeah, especially if someone was getting into modular, I think those would be a great start because there's $99 for the like dual VCA and filter too. I don't know if it's dual, but like those two, like that plus the oscillator, like that's pretty cool for $200.
Right. I'd much rather go that route over Behringer. You know,
Oh,
if
yeah,
I was going to
fuck
go for like cheap starter modules.
No question.
Just your average, East Coast style synth modules.
And like Pittsburgh kind of had that area for a while
Yeah.
of like the sort of like inexpensive, like cheap oscillator, cheap filter,
Yeah.
cheap VCA. But it seems like they've switched gears.
I mean, Dopefer is still a solid choice too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't mean to roll them out, but at the same time, like, not a whole lot of people carry them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they have so many choices now that it's kind of overwhelming. Like their stuff is so broken out per module. You know what I mean? Like,
And there's like a lot of like dash X or there's a lot of like variations on existing ones, and it was like, oh wait, which one of these do I want?
Yeah, I mean, it can be confusing to us, you know, who's been fucking with this shit for years now. You know, I can't imagine someone who's new jumping in and being like, well, I'm going to go all Dopefer and, you know, take a look at their lineup, see what we get. And it's just going to be fucking overwhelming, I'm sure, and confusing.
I don't like the way they look or the layouts, but they do sound
That
good,
too,
generally.
the overall aesthetic of them, yeah.
The Behringer ones, someone that we know that has a ton of them, like if you have an issue with one, they'll straight up just send you a new one. They were like, oh, don't even send the other one back. Just like, here you go. Like that's how.
Like a Palm Pilot, like that level of just like, it's not worth trying to fix this. Here's
just take two more, please. It's just
like,
amazing.
The Dreadbox ones, like they sound great, they look great.
Yeah.
You know, I like those colorful panels.
Me too.
Everything's like a unique color, so you can tell the modules apart from each other, and they just seem to, I don't know, they're just more appealing. You know,
My
especially for
only
the price.
complaint with them, and it's not too big, is that they do jacks on the top and the bottom. Instead of just having like the jack field at the top or the bottom.
Sure.
So, but they're still like so nice to use, in the sliders are like really, I don't know. I love the thing. It's cool.
So ultimately, you're not going to go Strega.
If I can find one used in the near future, I would buy it probably. If I had at a decent discounted price. I don't think I would ever pay retail for that for what it is.
So
personally.
fast forward to the next episode where we show up and you've got two of them.
Checking right now
Yeah.
to see if they're used Stregas.
I saw one pop up on Wiggler. I'm just gonna call it Wiggler.
Yeah. 570. on
It's sold
Reverb.
quick.
Yeah.
Oh, there's one on Reverb too.
Yeah.
I always like neglect Reverb.
Oh yeah, there's the gouge. It's so Reverb. There's the one for $811 with $50 shipping.
Nice. Yeah,
There's
I'll buy
the
that one.
Pre-order for the full price, and then there's an actual 570 one that'll be gone in like the next refresh.
I mean, if that one's more than retail, it's probably got like some Cortini sperm on it or something.
Totally.
Yeah, it's
That one's extra magical. It's got that extra Cortini alchemy.
He licked the inside of the case.
so. What else on this list? We've barely made a dent.
We made a big dent. Aside from that, I just have some stats of the SSF, aka Steady State Fate, the Triptych.
That's what Basic had a hand in this.
Yes, sir. Our homie Basic.
Yeah.
And also someone who I'm not familiar with, Boys Noise.
Oh yeah, they're like a pretty relatively popular like techno kind of group.
Yeah.
Boys Noise. Yeah.
Techno, huh?
Yeah, I believe
I
so.
heard the kids are into the technos these days.
Some of them are.
But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of neat, you know. Mainly grabbed my attention because it was, you know, the Basic collab, and I was like, okay, what the fuck's he doing?
Maybe techno's a stretch.
Yeah. What is it?
I was
More
just-
like
He's like remixed Snoop and some other people, so it's probably
Okay,
not like.
so like just like EDM-ish.
It does say
maybe?
genres electro house, techno, and acid house, so
I
it's
see.
probably like a little more
So
EDM.
that is why I am unfamiliar, because that is not my wheelhouse.
Same.
Okay, fair enough.
Sorry.
No, don't be.
Yeah.
Just curious. At a glance, it looked just like a filter/distortion. I was like, okay. And then I saw the price, and I said, why the fuck is a filter/distortion module that expensive?
Yeah.
So I looked into the stats a bit more.
400.
Yeah, $399. So a $400 filter with distortion. I'm like, that seems a little steep. It's multi-mode filter, low pass, band pass, and high pass, 12 dB slope. The filter you can reroute to either be at the input stage after the input VCA, or at the end of the stage right before the output VCA.
Okay.
I was like, okay, that's a nice little touch, sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then it also has an effects circuit, which is a flange delay and comb filter.
Do you just pick one, or are they serialized?
It's like all in one, I think, depending on where you have it.
Weird.
Right, I mean, there's a few knobs that change different states of it, but like you can't have it through all three simultaneously.
Gotcha,
It's like all part of the same circuit. And the it's a BBD circuit, essentially. They said that it's a BBD circuit that has kind of like accentuates the clock noise instead of filtering it or suppressing it. They kept the clock noise in there, and they said it has like a quality to it that enhances higher frequency harmonics.
Okay.
So seems like it's meant to add a little magic, I guess, to the distortion.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
The distortion itself has two different modes: fold and clip, or refractal fold and clip.
Whoa.
The first, fold and clip, saturates the input signal before folding it over into itself and hard clips, which is pretty standard. And then the refractal fold clip saturates and then gently folds and does some trickery where the refractory peak forms, rebounds into the opposite direction before hard clipping, and results in more gain. I'm not really sure what that's all about, but I'm curious.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. And more gain is always nice.
Right,
to have
right.
in a distortion
Yeah.
box. The flange comb delay BBD circuit has two different modes called high and low. The low mode has a wider range for like the delay effects. I guess you can get longer times out of it. But it's still pretty tight from what I was reading, like longer-ish tones, I should say.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the high includes a broader spectrum for comb filtering specifically. So it's kind of neat. I'm a little disappointed that it's monophonic.
That is a bummer. Yeah.
For the price, I would kind of expected, some stereo outs. And it's SSF, which already has a stereo filter. They got the dipole,
Right.
which costs the same. So
Wow.
yeah. So I'm kind of surprised they didn't like work some of that, features into this.
It may have also really increased the price, though.
Yeah. Honestly, though, if you're already hitting that $400 mark for a fucking filter, I feel like people would probably be willing to spend a few extra bucks for a stereo version of it. I know I would. You know what I mean? If I was already going that direction, and yeah, the stereo would probably pull me in. Like if it was $4.99 instead of $3.99 to have a stereo version of it, it would be that much more useful to me. You know what I mean? To be able to route stereo signals through all that.
Right.
Yeah. Whereas weirdly, I would still like the industrial music, and what is it? British noise electronics. The grit filter is
that's at the end of my notes.
Price.
Same price, $3.99. Yeah, that was. You're on the same page as me. I was just about to say that, like, if I'm about to drop $400 on a filter, I would probably be leaning more towards the British noise electronics. Yeah. I mean, it lacks that, the BBD circuit, but it has some really nice gain staging and characteristics in the demos that I've heard, at least.
Parallel saturation stuff. The sound of it overall is
Yeah.
fucking very appealing to me.
I would
Get it.
Yeah, if I had $400 burning a hole in my pocket, I'd be torn between the Grit and the Triptych, I think. You know what I mean?
I had it in a cart today for $360 because the Memorial Day.
So did
was
I,
like,
dude. And that's what got me looking into the Triptych, because I was like, oh, both of these are cool. I can't really afford either. I don't know why I'm looking at this. But yeah, I had it in my cart. I was like, oh, that Memorial Day sale price looks a lot nicer, but yeah.
Yeah, because they were super hard to get, and then all of a sudden, Perfect Circuit got a bunch of them.
And Detroit Modular also. Yeah.
Oh.
They're in stock and on sale. And free shipping would be here in 2 days. Yeah, I know. That's what I was doing.
I mean, you're practically leaving money on the table if you don't get this.
It is. Earlier today, I was like, yeah, that would have been fun to use at the show. Like, it just sounds like this quality. The quality of it sounds really good.
It does. It's not quite overstayer, but it reminds me of some of the gain staging type of fuck shit up levels I can get out of the overstayer. I'm like, that's kind of convenient to have in a little module, because I only have one overstayer, and sometimes I wish I had multiples to achieve that effect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, if I had that and the overstayer routing two different things simultaneously, that'd be nice. Yeah, it's a nice filter. And that's the thing about the Triptych too, is that I haven't really been blown away by the demo so far. A lot of it, I mean, it sounds good, but it's not blowing me away. I'm not like, oh, that thing has a very specific character. You know what I mean? Like, even with the BBD circuit, like, it just kind of reminds me of something I've done many times before, and that's route a tight delay through a distortion. You know what I mean?
It's a very familiar sound.
Yeah. And that's cool, I guess, that you have it all in one, but like, I don't really need that. I'm more interested in a very unique characteristic to my distortion. You know what I mean?
I wonder, I'm kind of curious if they either of the people involved did circuit design, or if they were just features we want this, this, and this. And then they were like, all right, we can knock that together and put it behind this panel. Because it looks like the panel is kind of similar to the new thing they did, the vortices or whatever.
Yeah.
Very similar knob layout, I think.
Yeah.
So I wondered if they kind of lifted that. Like, okay, we can make this at this price because we can just use these panels and put a new screen print on it.
Yeah, I'm just curious about what level their involvement was as well. It kind of reminds me of the WMD Trashmaster, because that was a collabo with some industrial dudes too.
That's right.
Name I'm drawing a blank on all of a sudden.
Yeah,
I'm sorry
about that.
But yeah, they apparently had a lot of input on the design of that thing overall, including the what is it, the screamer tube circuit that's in there.
I didn't know this. I did not know this was a collaboration. That's
Triptych or Trashmaster?
Trashmaster.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It was a collab.
Mastercraft,
that's it. Yeah. I wasn't too familiar with their music. I learned a little more about them after getting a Trashmaster and being like, yeah, if I was going to design a filter distortion, this would be pretty close to it. You know what I mean? I still love my Trashmaster. I only have one in my rig now at this time. I did have two at one point, but it's still it's just like a staple in my setup at this point.
Yeah.
Did you get a black panel for it?
I did.
Nice.
Finally. Fucking finally, man. I was always hoping that they would do that. And at first they said no. And then now they have black panels available for pretty much everything.
Yeah.
So I got them. Yeah. Every WMD module I have now has a black panel. Redid them all.
I've noticed a few people go in default. I think Noise Engineering's default black now, and maybe discontinuing silver.
I think WMD is default now as well.
I will say it's much easier, in the low light situation. I had those red lights.
Yeah.
And you can read the text pretty clearly with those. It's hard with even regular light. I just ended up not using that one. Black panels are definitely the shit.
They are. That's the only bummer about Harlequin's context.
Yeah.
I don't think they're doing black panels. And I've gotten a couple modules where I'm like, I'll just scratch this off and just paint my own module.
Mm-hmm.
But that has way too much text and things that I need to read. So it's probably going to be silver until.
They don't do black panels at all, do they?
Look, no. And
they
I don't know.
should.
They should.
It'd be so easy.
Oh, and even keeping like the weird like gradiated lines on them, putting those making those like gray or white on black panel. If they're listening,
Yeah, please.
so nice. And it's also the one not black panel in my like live setup, and so now it's just like this huge eyesore.
Mine's a bunch of. There's a lot more silver that crept in for me, like the Tangle Quartet and the Piston Honda and Bionic Lester.
Yeah.
So it's a little spottier for me now. I was close.
My Tangle's in the 7U, and I got the dual VCA, which is like the 2-channel Veils from Afterlater. That's what I've been using.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because I only need 2 voices in the live, the palette, and it combines them, so works out really well.
Actually, that's wrong. I had the Metron. What is it? The WMD SSF one that was used instead of the Tangle Quartet because the mute switches, which are so nice live. That's the thing. You don't have mute switches in the Tangle.
True.
The one thing I would want to add, but I get why it's not there. Effects Aid, Igor added to the Effects Aid today, which was like waking up and getting a present, seeing like, oh yeah, you can CV through the presets. It's like fucking right, you can.
That's astounding. Now, how do you get to
two
that?
of the Harlequin outputs automatically right now?
Yeah. So how do you get to that though? Is it just because you've got the at least with the actually either version? How do you specify that you want to use a CV for that mode?
It's the same way that you specify CV for the other inputs now. There's like a. I think you hold
it and then
in.
you get the option, and it's one of 3.
Mm-hmm.
It lines up with the knobs. Is there like another?
Yeah, I didn't check fully, but I don't know.
That's how you're gonna do it.
Probably.
Okay. No, that's amazing. Because especially like it is pretty seamless going between them.
Oh, I think it's the sample rate input that'll do it too.
Oh, okay.
Which is good because like that is like a cool effect, but it's not one that I've used often for like music. Or I'm like, oh, I can. Nah, it's just novel.
Right.
So yeah, that would be sick.
FX8 just keeps getting better and better, Greg.
Definitely does.
Yeah, I need to get a couple.
Yeah, I'm a 2, and I've almost bought a 3rd. Really is amazing.
I've been content with my noise engineering Versios so far. I have 2 of them now. And I've been playing with different firmwares on them.
Oh, that's cool.
I can't remember if I dipped into this in the last episode.
I think we touched on it a little bit.
Yeah.
We did talk about it.
I don't think we talked about the alternate firmwares though.
Okay.
I think that's new.
I'll have to save it for a later date because I didn't really prepare for that, and it's been a minute since I touched them. I've been busy moving and shit. But
so you just teased it.
I'm teasing, teasing you, Dave. Got to keep you on edge.
Coming.
Got to keep you
summer
wanting
2021.
But yeah, I've been playing with the alternative firmwares. One is a stereo distortion, which is quite nice, and the other one is a different configuration of like reverb and stuff, and it's neat. And there's a new one I'm gonna fuck with that I saw on Muffs or Mod or whatever the fuck today. It's a third-party firmware this guy's been working on.
Oh, I heard about that.
It's a multi-effect. Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's got like a stereo filter. It's got a couple different reverbs. It's got his own take on the panharmonium, which I recently sold to help get money to move, and I'm missing it, and I'm like, well, holy shit. Like, if I can get, like, I mean, it's a stripped down version of the panharmonium, but the way he described it, it's to do the type of shit that I was doing with the panharmonium anyways. So if I can get, like, a poor man's version of that on my Versio for free, fuck yeah. Like, sign me up. Yeah. I feel bad now that I don't have the guy's name at hand to give him a shout out, but yeah, there's a whole thread on Muffs right now with this guy discussing like the development of it, as it progresses. And
that's cool.
I think it's reached version 0.4 today. Added some enhancements. Yeah, I think it's like 6 or 7 or 8 different effects you can pull up on it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only alternative firmware that I fucked with recently is I put Hemispheres on Ornament and Crime.
Oh, right.
So I liked Ornament and Crime, but I always felt like I was only getting like 90% of it. Because there was just that last bit that was just so fucking academic and dense that I was like, and I would like screw with it and be like, that sounds kind of cool, but this is just just that bridge too far from like, I'm not fully grokking this. It was awesome, but I was like, I'm just not getting as much out of it as I could. So Hemispheres is like a lot of the cool stuff that's in Ornament and Crime, but without that sort of just like that last bit of like academic chin scratching density, and but also adding a lot of just like a ton of simple stuff. And like the way that I think about it is like it's like a cross between like a Disting and WarioWare. Like you just have a bunch of these things and they're all like kind of stripped down because you only have like the one button to control, like basically like you got the push and the knob, but now it's separated for the A and the B.
Yeah.
And you can like switch between them, and all of the inputs are halved. Like like the 2 CV and the 2 gates are for A, then the other 2 are for B. And a couple of them will actually chain between them. Like I think it's the sequencer one that if they're both set to the same thing, they can be combined.
So you're always rocking doubles no matter what in Hemispheres.
Except for a couple of cases where you can actually be like, I want both of them to work, and then you can actually go between, like they'll actually just operate as one.
Oh, okay.
But everything else is completely independent, super smooth. A bunch of like really like bread and butter stuff, like nuts and bolts, and that's why there's like that disting element to it of like, you can use this for just a fucking AD envelope if you wanted to. But you can also do these like really interesting sort of like logic stuff. There's these weird like latching like modes, and there's a ton of them. So
latching as in
like setting a volt, once it hits a threshold, it'll stay high until it gets another reset. Yes, like really interesting little stuff like that.
Nice. Okay.
And that's where like the WarioWare analogy comes in, because it just like, here's a cool little thing that works, and it's not super complicated, but if that's what you're looking for, it's super fucking useful.
Nifty. I mean, that element to Ornaments of Crime has always turned me off, so I haven't ever gotten one, because it looked like it was too much menu and not enough interface, just one knob, one button type of thing. And I was like, and a lot of the stuff in it never really appealed to me. But yeah, Hemisphere, I'm intrigued, Dave. Tell me more. What's your go-to in there?
So right now, I've been doing what's it called? There's a little 5-step sequencer screwing with that thing.
5-step?
5-step, but then if anything drops down to 0, it just gets skipped. Yeah. So you can make it any amount that you want.
I do love 5-step sequences.
Yeah. And the other one is that weird little logic thing where I have it where basically I set like a threshold, and then once that gets hit, then the output stays at that, and then you can reset that later.
Yeah, I like that logic. I've used other stuff to rig that type of thing up.
Same here, and I was like, I don't have to rig it up now.
Yeah.
I just have it with these couple of inputs, and then it just becomes super useful.
Nifty.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of them that I've like, oh, cool, that's there, and haven't really used that much, but it's rad that it's there, and it's super fucking stable. Like
Nice.
I've had no problems with it. It was super easy to update, like to add to it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, and I like if I went back to the original firmware for it, I'd still get a ton of use out of it. I think it's a useful module, but this is like way more useful. This appeals to my brain a lot better.
Nice.
This tracker in front of us is pretty cute. That's for sure.
It is every time I see it, I've seen it a couple times now and see pictures of it. It is an amazing object. It is just beautifully designed. It looks very nice. Like it's one of the things where like I would be normally just put stickers on shit and like, if it gets dinged up or whatever, it gets dinged up. But like I may even have like a compulsion to keep something like that nice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, mine's pretty dirty at the moment. It's not that nice.
Well, now that you mention
Mine's
it,
a little filthy.
It looks nice. It's got proper filth though. It should be kind of filthy,
I mean, aside from like the lack of stereo sampling, I don't have too many complaints about it. But I noticed online some people's honeymoon phase is ending with it. Some people are complaining about the jog wheel messing up and things like that.
I don't know.
And some people, I think there was a little bit of backlash going on due to the price of the skin diversions and like I mean, like the price differences with those, and I don't know. It didn't really bother me. I didn't really care about any of the the new skinned versions.
No.
My cousin, however, was pissed because he had just bought one and then those dropped, and he was like pretty pissed because he said he wanted the banana one.
I was gonna say, was it the Bogdan banana one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even think he's familiar with Bogdan, but he just really liked the banana skin. He was like, I would have paid more for that. I'm like, you'd have paid more just because it's got a banana on it. I was like, dude, just buy some fucking banana stickers or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Or
don't know.
style flip it.
Style flip it.
Yeah.
That's inevitable.
Yeah.
It's probably what it is.
Oh, that'd be amazing if it really was. And it wasn't even applied. You had to. It just came with the style flipped sticker, and you had to put it on yourself. But it cost way more than it would cost for you to just get it on your own.
I don't know. Like the look of it in its normal state, just plain black,
Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful.
appealed to me. So did the
So
price.
sexy.
So like having one that was all brightly colored and like different looking and more expensive didn't appeal to me in any way. Even with extra sample pack on there, I'm like, I
Right.
don't give a shit.
Right.
I'm loading this thing with my own sounds. I don't
Yeah.
need to pay a premium for other people's sounds that I'm never going to touch.
It looks like pre-Lenovo IBM like made some
Yes, it
weird
does.
side project
Yes, it
music
does.
thing, and there it is.
Yeah. It looks like machined. Everything has like a precision on it that is.
Buttons are the hotness too. I
Yeah.
wish they had these are much nicer than like the Electron ones, and I kind of wish the Electron ones are like that.
Yeah, I love the feel of them.
Greg, so the jog wheel's pretty big and
Mhm.
circular.
Yes.
So if you want, I can make you a sticker of my face
Mm-hmm.
to put on
Cool.
the jog wheel. So that
Solid
you're-
offer.
That's
Nice.
my face
I like it.
going around and around in a circle,
I like
glaring at you.
Okay. In like 4 different ways, right? So no matter how I turn it, it's like right side up.
Ooh.
Yes.
Staring at me.
Now it
Gotcha.
is. Yes.
Well, like, could you make it a hologram too? So you're like,
Hell
kinda,
yeah. Now we're talking.
eating like a spack sandwich or something.
or like that lenticular art with the where it would change, like so it's like a 2-frame animation of like me biting into a sandwich.
Those are sick. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I'll
See,
get a
I'd pay a
tracker.
premium for that.
Yeah. Consider it done.
I'll get a tracker just for that sticker. I did have a tracker for a week, but it intimidated me, or rather, I didn't want to get into another system.
Hmm.
It was cool though. But
I haven't had a system not intimidate me as much as this one. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah?
Like I'd find it fairly welcoming for me, and I jive with it well. This, I'm still digging it. You know what I mean? Even after a few months now,
Yeah.
it's still like my go-to. Trying to figure out how to put stuff on there to perform on things like that, and not just use it as a studio tool.
So this is going to be in your live setup.
Most likely, I don't think I'm going to be basing my entire set off of it.
Really?
I think that's going to still be mostly based off of the Taraz and some form of either a noise rig, modular, or a couple small desktop synths that I can utilize with the Taraz. And this will just be like an accompanying piece of gear that I can bounce into some rhythms with, some patterns, but not base everything off of.
Not surprising, just because I could see a scenario where this was the hearts and brains of it, and everything was based off of that.
would you do like DJ mixer style setup and like fade over to it? Like
I was
just
trying to figure
add
that
some
out. That's still
variety?
that's still what I'm trying to figure out. And you talking about that 505
Oh yeah.
has me thinking other things now too. Like if I could just loop chunks of the tracker and overlay it with
Yeah.
things going on with my
That would be
Taraz.
perfect.
Yeah, I'd be having a blast with that, I think.